Welcome to Unlocking Your Truth, another podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips.
Well, good evening, listeners. You are tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey.
Hello, everyone.
And we are broadcasting live on the unceded territory of the Stolo Nation on CIVL, broadcasting across the Fraser Valley.
101.7.
That's right. And Unlocking Your Truth it's a talk show about metaphysics and spirituality. And we really love to bring you inspirational topics.
Yes, we do.
Under that general theme.
Umbrella.
And we also love it when you call in and join in the conversation.
Leslie, you love everything.
I do. I love everything.
She loves everything. No matter what you're talking, I love that.
It's true. And listeners, I love it when you call in. Because let me remind you, when we are live in the studio, then we can take your calls and we can give you intuitive readings live on air and help and assist you with anything, really.
Listeners, if you don't call in tonight, I'm going to sing, and you don't want me to do that.
Mm-hmm. Now, when I say we can help you with anything, that not the damage to your ears by Corey's singing.
Nice.
But also on the subject of anything and everything, let me introduce this evening's topic. Because today we're going to talk about the Akashic Records.
That was the company that the Beatles put their first album out on, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I don't think. Was it? Oh, no, that was another record company.
I have no idea. I think I would know that their record label, but I can't think of it right now.
Leslie, that was a joke.
I know it was a joke. But I wish I was smart enough to say no, it was blah, blah, blah. Anyway, listeners,
Akashic Records.
This isn't a show about Corey singing or the Beatles. It's a show about unlocking your truth, about helping you access your inner knowledge, your inner information, and connect with your higher self. So today we're going to talk about the Akashic Record.
A repository.
Yeah, and
for all knowledge.
Exactly, that's what it is. So if you're wondering, well, what's she talking about? What a strange word, and I've never heard that before. It's a Sanskrit word, taken from the ancient Sanskrit. But what it's referring to actually is the energy of everything. It is the record of all creation. Everything that ever was, is now, and ever will be, and all possible combinations, experiences throughout all time, space, and different realities. The Akashic Record is a record of all of that.
Yes, it's sort of like Janet on The Good Place on TV.
Yeah, maybe that's what she is. She's the Akashic Record.
Yeah, she's the AI of Akashic Records.
Yeah. So what that means from your perspective then, what does that mean from your perspective? Well, what it means is you actually have a personal Akashic Record. And your personal Akashic Record, it's a record of everything about you. And just think about that a little bit. Everything about you. So all of your words, thoughts, deeds, actions, beliefs, emotions, everything that has ever happened to you, every moment in your life, there is a record of this on the skein of reality, on this Akashic Record. And not only is it a record of the you that you are now, it's a record of every you that there ever has been, every alternate version of you, every past life, parallel life, future life on this planet. And get this, any past lives, future lives, and parallel lives on other planets. It's the information of not just you, the body personality self, your soul, your oversoul, your higher self, and beyond.
Ooh, I have a question. It's a good one.
Okay, so I just want to say, it's not the little finite you in this body, it's the eternal multidimensional you. Yes. So what's your question,
I have a question.
Sure.
So if it's the repository of all information energetically, I never thought about this. How far back would that go? Would it predate what we would call the Big Bang? Because there was knowledge before the Big Bang. There was energy before the Big Bang. Presumably
how far back and forward and sideways it goes is infinity. Which is a hard concept for humans to grasp, because they go, well, what was before the Big Bang? Basically, there's the Big Bang, and the universe expands until it implodes on itself and recedes back into nothing until it comes out in a... So there's a breath to that universe, and there is no end to it. It's eternal, it's infinite. But...
So my question is, would the Akashic Records be infinite and eternal?
Yes, they are. Exactly. It's everything that ever was and ever will be.
So theoretically, if one can hone their psychic abilities in really, like some of the masters, they could actually get information from prior to existence.
There's no such thing as prior to existence. Consciousness has never not existed.
Of this universe.
Yes.
Prior existence of this universe.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting. I'm going to have to work on that.
Yeah, and so back to your personal Akashic record, and let's just break this down a little bit, because it is mind-boggling, and sometimes it's difficult for the human brain to comprehend, especially when we start talking about multiple dimensions and eternity. So your soul signature, you have a particular frequency that's associated with your soul. And that frequency, that soul song, that soul signature is everything about you, is recorded in the Akash. So the Akash has your unique energy signature, your unique energy vibration that you received from source energy or God. And, that obviously then it contains your soul's preferences, its intentions, how it prefers to express itself or chooses to express itself in this dimension and other dimensions. And in this dimension, in this body, your aura, your energy field, your bioenergy field is part of your Akashic record. So your bioenergy field or your aura has been called the fingerprint of God, and the overall Akashic record has been called the mind of God. And your personal Akashic record contains, like I said, from this lifetime, all your beliefs, preferences, tendencies, challenges, thoughts, emotions, experiences, memories, everything you ever thought, did, felt, or said is recorded in your personal Akashic record. And you have an Akashic record for the journey that you've taken on this planet. So you're part of this planet. The planet itself has an Akashic record of everything that's ever happened on Earth, and your personal story of incarnations on this Earth, there is an Akashic record of that. So you have a past life Akash for every life you've ever lived. The sum total of all your earthly experiences are stored for eternity in this signature of creation. Excuse me. And beyond that, your story, as Corey was kind of starting to go into this, as an eternal soul, it predates this earth. Where were you before there was life on earth? You were somewhere else. What were you doing? It's stored in the Akashic Record. It contains your star lineage, your ancestral lineage, your incarnation cycles, your alternate reality selves, your multidimensional parts, everything. Now, how much of it is relevant is a good question. Because the fact that you lived millions of years ago in a different constellation, the experiences you had there may not be at all relevant to the life that you're living now. So usually, when we read the Akashic Record, we focus very much on closer to home, the aspect that relates to you and who you are now. Any past lives that relate to you and who you are now. And because that helps you in the current life. But it's all there to be dipped into and to be pulled out if we want to. There's nothing that isn't there. Because everything every emotion or thought you have is an energy signal. And just like we're broadcasting this radio show, you're broadcasting those energy signals to the universe. And that energy continues for eternity. You're making these little lights, these little signals are going off. Every thought you have, every moment of your life is an energy signal that travels for eternity through reality. Now, we talked a little bit about the planetary Akashic Record. Our planet and all other planetary bodies have an Akashic Record. So do suns, moons, stars, comets, galaxies, nebulas, all celestial bodies. And your Earth Akashic Record is a small part of the overall planetary record because you are part of this planet. And you're also part of the human species. And so every species has an Akashic Record. So our human species has an Akashic Record, which is the sum total of all participants of our human game on planet Earth. When one of us experiences something, ultimately so do we all. We're all part of the same band. So we can each have access to the overall data about our group, and our species won't awaken until all of us do. We're also part of a galactic record. Our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy, has an Akashic Record of all the worlds and species that live here, or have ever resided or ever visited. So I think I could go on, but I think I've painted a good picture that helps explain what the Akashic Record is.
I think so.
Everything.
It's the Santa's list of the universe.
Yes, yeah. So now we've talked about what it is. How do you read the Akashic Record?
Oh, hang on. Before we go there, I don't know if you've got it. Do you have a location? You talk about the location later? You going to talk about the location later, or do you want to talk about the location before we go? Because I know a lot of people go, oh, Akashic Records, there must be a spot for them.
Where they're actually physically located and stored.
Exactly.
So, let's answer that then.
Because I know.
Okay, what's your answer?
They're interdimensional. They're in between dimensions. And the reason I say that is because I sort of saw them at one point in this meditation I did. And they're it's a nebula of, if you want to call it nebula or webbing. And it's almost like if you saw an electric fence, like just a regular electric fence, a chain link fence, and there were like 20 or 30 of them side by side, and they all had electricity going through them. They were all glowing. That's more or less what I saw. And all the information just rushes through. And the other thing I realized, that's where when we talk about starseed children and special kids that can communicate with each other, that's how they communicate with each other, through that interface of information. So it actually does exist. It can't be destroyed. It can't be altered. it can be tapped into, though.
Well, it's actually, and where is it? It's in everything, because every single particle in our universe is a holographic representation of everything else.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is, it's everywhere and nowhere. Another angle is to talk about your DNA, and not from the level of the physical DNA, but the multi-dimensional DNA. So your Akashic record is accessible through your multi-dimensional DNA, your personal Akashic record. But I would say it's everywhere and nowhere. And it's a facet of our holographic universe that we're in.
Oh, interesting.
So I'm going to take a break, and I'll now come back and talk about reading the Akashic Records.
Exactly. Let's do that.
Very good idea.
I think it's lovely.
Hello, listeners. Welcome back to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey, this evening talking about the Akashic Record. If you're just tuning in and wondering what that is, it is the record of all creation. It is the mind of God. It is the energetic signature of everything that has ever occurred in this reality and all realities.
I like the word repository.
Do you?
Seriously, for some reason, the word repository just has such a lovely ring to it. A repository of all the information of the whole space and time continuum.
Well, and non-space time as well.
Okay, throw that in there if you want.
So we've been talking about it and what it is and what it contains. And you can break it down to individual Akashic records for individual people. That's just the organization of every bit of information that relates to you. Now, we're going to go on to talk about reading the Akashic Records.
Sounds good to me.
And I'll talk about how I do it. But before I do that, Corey was sharing his experience of perceiving the Akashic Record. And there are different ways that you can access the information. So sometimes what people will do is they'll take you on a little imaginary journey. I remember the very first time that I heard about the Akashic Records, which was probably 30 years ago now, but I think I attended a workshop on it at that time. And the lady teaching it took us on a visualization where in our imagination we imagined this big staircase up into the astral plane in the sky, and we climbed up the stairs and we reached this huge building with these big doors, and we stepped inside and it was a huge library, and we asked someone to take us to the bit of the library that related to us, and it was full of bookshelves, and we pulled them off. Is that, and looked at them, and were able to look at information about ourselves. Is that what they really are like? No. And yes, because it's just a way of us organizing our thoughts and our perceptions in a way to unlock and access the information. It's a way of perceiving the information from our human perspective. And so meditations like that can be a great vehicle to explore the Akashic Record. And we all have an imagination, and we can all go on a journey like that and imagine that. And I'm actually going to be doing a 2-hour workshop this month where I'm going to be taking people through those kinds of visualizations so that they can experience their own past lives and their own past life Akashic Record.
Can I come?
Of course you can. Yes, that's on the 23rd of February, and you can go to drlesliephillips.com/workshops, and you'll be able to see a workshop this month on past lives and a workshop next month on the aura, and they are both I'm calling them Akashic Adventures.
That's a nice name.
Because they are both adventures into your personal Akashic record. So that's a really great way to start out experiencing the Akashic record, is to go on a journey and have a framework to perceive it through. And there are different ways of doing that. The other thing I wanted to say is, to those of you who've heard about the Akashic record before, sometimes people have this, it's like this special, specific thing. But really, an Akashic reading is a reading of anything. Any psychic reading is an Akashic reading, because the Akashic records are everything. So if a psychic reads your aura, it's an Akashic reading. If a psychic reads your past lives, it's an Akashic reading. If a psychic tells you originally came from the Pleiades, it's an Akashic reading. They're reading your Akashic record. They're reading the records of your experiences laid down in the fabric of time, space, the universe. And anytime a psychic gives you a reading, they are talking to your soul. Anytime a psychic gives you a reading, it is a soul reading. So, but then how do they do it? Or how do I do it when I do it? And I'll give you 3 different clues, 3 different pointers. The first one is going into trance, going into an altered state of consciousness. So ordinarily in our human state, we're tuned into the physical realm. And we are sensing things through our physical senses. And that's really our main focus. But to become aware of the Akashic record, to become aware of the subtle energies, a psychic must tune away from the noise and tune into those subtle energies. And the best way I know how to do that, there's one level through meditation, but you can go to a very deep level by entering an altered state of consciousness called a trance, where you specifically modulate and modify how you're operating your chakra system, so that you're specifically tuning out the physical world and the physical senses, and specifically tuning into the Akashic record, or non-physical energies. So number 1, going into a trance. And by the way, I'm actually thinking about doing a trance mediumship workshop in March, and it will be on that same page on my website. So number 1, you've got to find a way to tune out the busy physical noise and tune in to the inner realm. And the next one, clue number 2, I call it engage your tractor beam. So if you think about what we've said about the Akashic record, it's vast. It's everything. It's eternal. So how the heck do you find anything in it? Surely it's like searching for a needle in a haystack. But a talented psychic can tune in precisely and accurately, and it's done through focus and intention, and also by homing in on the specific information that's being requested and the energy signature of that specific information. And so if you're wanting me to look at your past lives, I have a specific framework I use to unlock and access the information of those past lives. And every one of those lives has your energy signature. You have a unique energy signature. And so if you're wondering how can a psychic know that it's really you when it looks so different, when it's in such a different body? Because it's got the same energy signature, it's got the same soul signature. So you engage your psychic tractor beam, you focus your psychic senses, you focus your clairvoyance on a specific thing. Whether you're doing an aura reading, in which case you focus on the person's chakras and the person's energy field, or whether it's a past life reading, you focus it, you adjust the lens, you adjust the frequency that you're operating at. So you're operating close to the frequency of the person that you're reading, and then you focus your psychic lens with acuity into what you're specifically being asked to report on. And then number 3, actually I've said it already, which is sensing your energy. So number 1, going into trance. Number 2, focusing your psychic lens on what is being asked to be looked at. And number 3, we're able to sense your unique energy signature at the level of your soul. So we can recognize you, whether you're in this body or an alien body or one of your past lives.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've experienced that as well. I've met 20 of my in-between lives. I met 20 of my, what do you call them again, Leslie? You have a specific term for it, Dr. Leslie, a soul group that I travel with.
Okay.
And even though I didn't recognize one face, their energy was so unique and amazing. And and the funny thing is, it didn't match the energy of that person in this existence, but I knew that person as that energy.
Well, there's a difference between that unique soul signature and the energy that somebody builds around them in their energy field when they're walking around. But at the core is that soul signature.
Oh yeah, it's there, but it's harder to, because they have so many layers around that. Their physicality, their ego, their what they think their spirituality is,
even other people's energy mixed up in there.
The world, and how the world has programmed them with everything coming in peer pressures. So it's harder to get at that core, even your own core. And I think when I did this past life exercise, I did 3 lives, 3 lives, and when I went between lives, it was just such an eye-opener when it comes to understanding that the soul, and I saw them as physical beings in essence, but yet they weren't. It's when you go past this physical body and this world, there's a lot of likes and not likes at the same time. It's
well, you're outside of polarity. You're in oneness, and so everything.
No space, no time.
Yeah, all things exist.
It was very, very interesting, though, and that energy, and one of the most interesting things was that I was able to source my own spiritual signature, my own spiritual and my own energetic signature. And when I looked in the mirror, as soon as I came out of that, I had physically changed.
You become more yourself.
Yeah, it was very interesting.
You recognize yourself. You knew yourself.
And people actually notice this. It's astounding when we think of physical and spiritual as being separate. They are, but they aren't. They do have effect on each other. It's very interesting. Very. I'm using that word a lot. Interesting. Too many times. Go ahead, Dr. Leslie.
Well, I would encourage our listeners to phone up with their questions about the Akashic Record. The number on the studio line is 604-504-7441, extension 4142. 604-504-7441, extension 4142. Because that was mostly what I had planned to say. I'm sure that there's a lot more that we can say, but I would encourage you, if you are curious and you want to know more about the Akashic Record and have your own personal experience of your own personal Akashic Record, then join me on one of these Akashic adventures.
Tell me a little bit more about what you're going to do for the Akashic workshops.
They're going to be 2 hours long. And we're going to have some guided meditations where I take you into a deep inner experience of your own Akashic Record. And then there will be a time for questions and discussion as well.
What will I learn?
These are experiential workshops, and they're not going to be designed to titillate the intellect. They're going, because I feel quite strongly actually that for all of this spiritual stuff, the best way for you to comprehend is to experience. And so what each person learns to some degree will be unique to the person. But you will experience yourself as more than, in the first one where we do past lives, you will experience yourself as more than your body and more than the current personality. And you will validate that you have been here in other existences on this planet, and you will get to experience some of the other people that you have been. So the experience that Corey was just talking about, where he recognized his own energy signature and he recognized the energy signature of other people that he knew, you will have that experience because you will recognize yourself in another land, in another time, in another body, maybe a different gender, maybe different racial features, and you will recognize that is you. And you will look around you and you will see other people who you knew in that lifetime, and you will recognize their energy signature, and you will say, wow, there's my current husband, there's my current wife, there's my mother, there's my father. And the relationships of those people may be very different. Your father may be your son, your mother may be your cousin. And so you will have that experience of expanding your consciousness and your understanding of who you are beyond who you believe you are in the current body personality. And you will explore your personal Akashic record. So you will be guided and shown a way to explore it. And once you've attended this workshop and listened to the guided meditation, you can do it on your own, and you can go to other past lifetimes. So it gives you a key to unlock and to travel through internally your own Akashic record.
That sounds really interesting. Sounds like fun. So I presume it's going to be like your other workshops going to be online on Zoom, or you don't have to be local to go to the workshop?
Right? I do my workshops online. There's a fabulous tool. It's so easy to use. It's called Zoom. It's just one click of one link, and you're in a virtual classroom with me and other students.
And I presume it's going to be an intimate session, like most of your workshops. You're not going to have hundreds of people, and so people will be able to ask their questions.
Absolutely, yeah, it'll be intimate. And I'll just talk a little bit more detail about the second one, seeing as you.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, the second one, it's going to be and the first one, we're not going to just take one approach. We're going to take 2 or 3 different approaches, and you may find one approach works better for you, or you might find that they all work. And then the one that's the Akashic adventure in your own auric field, which is the fingerprint of it's your unique personal fingerprint. Your aura contains everything about you. Everything about you, all your thoughts, memories, the current growth that you're going through. And we're going to do an adventure traveling through your energy field. And so that you can experience the different energy frequencies that you are experiencing on the different levels and layers of your reality. Because the auric field, people think, we've talked about this before on the show, what color is my aura? It's not one color, it's many colors. The auric field is an emanation of the chakra system. Every chakra emanates a field of energy around you and has a different quality to it. And we'll be taking a journey through those different rooms, let's call them different rooms of your personal energy system, and you'll find out what's in each room, what you've stored in each room, what's going on in each room, how are things shifting and changing around in each room. So that gives us brings us up to our break. I want to, before we go to the break though, just encourage our listeners, if they want to, please call in 604 and 504 7441 extension 4142. 604 504 7441 extension 4142. This is Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. Welcome back, listeners. You're tuning in to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. On tonight's show, we've been talking about the Akashic Record. What is the Akashic Record, and how to access the information of the Akashic Record. The Akashic Record is a repository of everything. Your personal Akashic Record is a repository of everything about you. And this is the time on the show where we answer readers' questions. And I will just say, whatever question you send, when I answer that question, I'm accessing your Akashic Record in order to answer it. If I'm reading your aura to answer the question, that's part of your Akashic Record. If I'm reading your past lives to answer the question, that's part of your Akashic Record. If I'm reading some experience that you're asking about that you've had, I'm reading your Akashic Record. If you're asking about your career, your love life, your relationships, I'm reading your Akashic Record. Because your Akashic Record contains your preferences, your desires, your predilections, your tendencies, everything. So any reading I or any other psychic does is a reading of the Akashic Record.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Speaking about reading and Akashic Records, I don't want to give too much away, but Dr. Leslie's got a new book coming out, and we're all excited about it, and it's picked up by a publisher. We're not going to tell you who it is just yet. But stay tuned for more information on that as time goes on.
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's a major global publisher with reach around the entire world. And this is a book about psychic abilities. It's about the relationship between... well, let's just leave it there for now. Yeah. We'll tell you more as the months go by. You may even be
reading like a chapter or half a chapter online at one point, or at least some takeouts from it. Okay, so right now we've got some questions that we're going to pose to Dr. Leslie from our listeners who have emailed in questions. And the first one is from Brittany in, get this, Johannesburg, South Africa. And she asks, I would like clear guidance on exactly how to serve towards healing and transformation, please.
How to serve towards healing and transformation.
I'm presuming she means of herself and the earth and everybody.
Yes. And actually that just reminds me of one more thing about the Akashic Record, which is, we were talking about how we live in a holographic universe, and every particle in the universe contains information of everything else. So people often wonder, how can you... sometimes people say, well, surely I need to be in the same room as you. Surely I need to be physically present for you to give me a reading. And that's thinking that you are your body, and thinking that... But holographically... You can be in Johannesburg, you can be in New Zealand, you can be in Europe. Energy is energy, and you can access any energy about anything, no matter where you are on the globe. So, be in Johannesburg. How can she best serve...
Brittany.
Healing and transformation. Yeah, Brittany. How can she best serve? So I'm tuning into her personal energy signature, and I'm focusing in on the question with my tractor beam. And I've already gone into trance, and so let's look at this. Well, the first thing I'm seeing is, I'll just validate this desire that you have to be of service. When I look at your energy, the word that comes up is it's like a wellspring of love. I see that you have this love bubbling from your heart that you really want to share and find the best way to share it. And the other thing I'm seeing about you is that it looks like in whatever expression that you have this lifetime, you want it to come from a place of compassion. And it looks like that's really important to you. And I'm getting actually a past life that's coming up that is, I wasn't even looking for a past life, but it's coming up, overlaying your energy signature for this life. And it's relating to a life in ancient Egypt where you were a priestess and where you were initiated into the Egyptian mysteries. So you knew how to read the Akashic Record, you knew how to do readings, and you were very good at it. You were highly accomplished on the level of your clairvoyance, but you operated in, and I don't want to use the word imbalanced, but I can't think of a better word. It's too strong of a word. But there was an imbalance in how you used it, because it's like you relied upon the clairvoyance exclusively. And so it was like the information you read was like data that you were like 100% neutral about it. And I'm seeing that you were very accomplished, but in that lifetime, you didn't balance it with compassion. The clarity and neutrality of the clairvoyance with the compassion of the heart. And I'm seeing that that's really one of the things that you're really looking to do this lifetime, is to balance the clarity that you're capable of having, which you could direct anywhere you wanted, but it looks like you're very interested in directing it at what's working and what's not working, and being very authentic about what you see as being a system that's working or not working, but being able to deliver it as opposed to like just cold, neutral, without consideration of the other. It's like bringing in the realization that the other is just another you, and being able to balance the compassion with the neutrality. So how can you best serve? You're choosing to serve by balancing compassion and neutrality, and there are many different ways that you could choose to do that. And I see something, it looks like the word that comes up is civic. You know, something to do with the systems and how systems are working on the planet, or in your area of the planet, that are not achieving what they're meant to be because they're dysfunctional. And it looks like you can bring a clarity to how they might function better, and a compassion that would help you be an agent of change. That's what I'm seeing.
Okay. Now, we have a question from Manny in Mumbai, India. And Manny wants to know, what was the work I was meant to do? My soul work.
Okay.
Manny's a she, by the way.
So, let's look. And so, if we look at your soul, and of course, we're looking at your Akash as well. So, give me a moment to tune into your energy signature from a trance state and focus on the question. So I forget the words, but she's basically saying what her soul desires, her soul purpose.
Yeah, what she's meant to do on this earth, her I guess her life purpose.
If I look at your soul purpose for this lifetime, the answer is enlightenment. The answer is to become fully awake and aware. And in the process of becoming fully awake and aware, to be able to make choices based on what makes you happy. So your soul's purpose for you is to be happy, to live and love the adventure of life in a conscious way. And if you do that, if you follow the trail, the breadcrumbs, the clues to this makes me happy, this doesn't make me happy, this makes me happy, this doesn't make me happy, then you'll be well along your path and you will be living your purpose. And so it's not coming up as sometimes when people say, what's my life purpose? They want somebody to say, it's to be a doctor, it's to be a healer, it's to be a this or it's to be a that. I'm seeing that for you, it's the path to enlightenment, and the path to enlightenment is the path to happiness, joy, inner fulfillment. And you're unique, and so what allows you to feel joyful and fulfilled could be different than anybody else, but you know it because how you feel about what you're doing will give you a clue. I'll see if there's anything else to say. I think we've said it. So we can do one more very quickly.
Okay, why don't we do that then? We have a question from Liz in Auckland, New Zealand, and Liz says, I've had a breast screen scare, and I'm waiting on further investigation. Will I be all right? Did the pain of my past cause me to manifest this? Because I've got all sorts going on since I met my ex.
Well, let's take a look. So going into trance, tuning into Liz's unique signature and focusing on the question. What I see is the story of someone who's not nourishing herself, not giving to herself and receiving for herself. I'm seeing you don't allow the light in, you don't allow the love in. So it's like a plant. It's like your body has been like a plant that wasn't watered. And in this case, the water is the light and the energy of you. And so I see it's like the light of spirit kind of bouncing off, because there's something that you are resisting allowing yourself to have, and it's let's see why. I'm seeing that there's a big message that says you don't deserve. There's like a program running, I don't deserve, I can't have, I shouldn't have, I don't deserve. So there's an unworthiness program, and it just looks like that's been with you your whole life. And so for you, the path to healing is to turn that around, let that go. Really comprehend you are God. You are an aspect of God. You are a unique aspect of God. You are divine consciousness. To believe that you do not deserve and you should not have, it is the opposite of the truth. It is the opposite of who and what you are. And so allowing yourself to receive and let go of the pain of the unworthiness. So that's what I'm seeing about her energy. And, is your ex to blame? I'm seeing it started much earlier than even meeting your ex.
Well, I don't think she was saying Was he to blame?
Well, was he, was it a result of him?
Of the things she went through, yeah.
It's a result of the things that you've been through in your life. And maybe there's even some past lives involved. And, he's part of the story, but it started earlier than him, is what I'm seeing. That brings us to the end of the show.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
I guess so. It was a wonderful show.
It was. And so, listeners, you've been listening to Unlocking Your Truth with Dr. Leslie and Corey. And we'll be back, as usual, next week at 7 o'clock Pacific time on Tuesday on civl.ca. You can catch the replay on our podcast at drlesliephillips.com. You can find out about the workshops we talked about today at drlesliephillips.com/workshops. Or you can write to info@drlesliephillips.com to ask more about them. And we sincerely hope you enjoyed this episode about the Akashic Record, and we invite you to participate in exploring your own Akashic Record with the Akashic Adventure workshops.
Okay, see you next week, folks.
Thank you for joining us. You've been listening to another Unlocking Your Truth podcast by Dr. Leslie Phillips. For more information, go to our website at drlesleyphillips.com. That's drlesleyphillips.com, where you can ask questions or send her an email, and there's many free gifts on there for you as well. You can also find the questions that were asked during this show at the website on our free card reading podcast page, where you'll find a full list of them. Come back again.